Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the MS Refresh Show. This is episode 6, and Happy New Year to all of you there at home. I'm Sean Bugler on the west coast of the United States.
And I'm Matt Wade on the East Coast. As Sean said, this is episode 6, the week of January 11th, 2020. And Sean, how was your holiday break?
It was everything I hoped it would be, which was unremarkable. We just hung out at home, ate really rich food. I worked when I shouldn't have been working, as all of us do, and shouldn't do. For those of you at home that did that too, shame on you.
Agreed.
What about you? Happy New Year, Matt. How was your holiday break?
Same. New job is going well, so I was kind of taking advantage of the fact that everybody went poof for the holiday, so I could kind of just hit the ground running, do my own thing, get a little bit of approval here and there from people, and then show them what I had when they got back in. So pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that the new job's going well. I think that it's such a great opportunity, especially right when the holiday break hits, for you to get all your ducks in a row and so you can burst out of the gate. And everybody's like, whoa, he was just ready to go. Now I've been working for 3 weeks.
Yep, definitely. Yep, absolutely. And, trying to keep up with all that's going on right now, even with the holidays, with, sort of Microsoft being, quasi shut down, at least on the U.S. side of things, or the U.S. Euro side of things. But it looks like we actually have some news this week. So, Sean, I'm just going to kick it right off to you and the news.
This is the news.
In a blog post by Matthew Bolaños, Microsoft has announced that Dataverse for Teams apps can now be distributed outside the team the app was originally created in. Now, previously, apps built on Dataverse for Teams could only be used by other members within a team. While great for small apps targeted at specific users, this arrangement made it really challenging to build and deploy centralized apps at scale. Now, with the introduction of broad distribution for apps within Dataverse for Teams, you can take an app that was built within a Teams team and share it with others inside of your company. This makes it possible for a centralized development team to build an app on top of Dataverse for Teams and then share it with a bunch of users who don't belong to the original development team. The change still appears to be focused on usage within teams, and the data is still stored within the original team. So for those of you in organizations that haven't adopted Teams looking to capitalize on the benefits of Dataverse for Teams, this ain't it, unfortunately. An interesting peek behind the curtain in Redmond, recent leaks indicate that Microsoft has begun work on a new Outlook app that will replace built-in mail and calendar apps on Windows 10. This, along with the desktop Outlook apps for Windows and even Mac OS. Codenamed Monarch, or One Outlook, the app is seemingly an effort to bring the web Outlook user interface to the desktop while still capitalizing on native desktop integration. For those on Mac OS, this isn't exactly a surprise, as the new Outlook desktop app, currently in preview, already mimics the web interface. Reporting done by Windows Central indicates that we're a ways away from a full rollout and likely won't see major steps towards release until spring 2022 at the soonest. Microsoft lists as getting a meaningful update to the grid view previously known as Quick Edit. Managing column settings, things like pinning a column to the filter pane, formatting the column, showing and hiding columns, all currently require exiting out of the grid view, but will soon be possible without having to do so. This change is welcome for those who want to see a more Excel-esque experience while in grid view. This is scheduled to roll out in February, so keep a close eye out over the next couple of weeks. A new experience is on the way for those looking to add available custom content types to lists and libraries that already allow multiple content types. The current experience has historically required a dive into the list and library settings. Instead, now the action will be brought right to the surface. In those SharePoint lists and libraries that allow multiple content types, something you'll still need to enable in the list and library settings, a new content type option will be available in the Add Column menu. According to the roadmap, release is scheduled for this month, so we're likely to start seeing this crop up in the days and weeks to come. My tenant in targeted release already has the feature, so we appear to be right on schedule. So, Happy New Year. As many of you know, with the upcoming shift to the new Stream experience, a new change to move Stream from its current storage platform to one built on top of SharePoint, meeting recordings will be stored in your OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. While the change is largely welcome, given the familiarity with sharing in OneDrive and SharePoint, there's been a sizable amount of feedback regarding the ability to download shared meeting recordings. This past week, Microsoft acknowledged that feedback and has announced that those with view-only permissions will not be able to download recordings by default. It's important to note that file owners and those with edit permissions will still be able to explicitly allow downloads, but that the default configuration will block downloads. This change is slated to start hitting tenants starting in early February, running through April, and it is still tied to the upcoming move to the new Stream experience. So for those that haven't made the transition just yet, the current rules remain unchanged. 2 hot new features for Teams are on the way. First up, for both commercial and GCC tenants, Teams meeting organizers will soon have greater control over their meetings by enabling a new lobby setting where only calendar meeting invited users will be able to join directly. Individuals not invited to the meeting will still be able to join, but they're first going to be deposited into the lobby where meeting organizers can determine whether to allow entry or not. Next, a new meeting recap feature in Teams, providing the meeting recording, transcript, and chat all in one place. These are automatically shared in the chat tab and viewable in the details tab of the meeting itself. This is a welcome feature for those unable to attend and for those of us who were able to attend and definitely were not multitasking. The Microsoft Lists app for iOS was originally scheduled for December 2020, but for those of you anxiously waiting, you've surely noticed that didn't come to pass. In a recent update shared via the Message Center, Microsoft acknowledged the slip deadline and stated their intent on releasing to the iOS App Store in mid-January. The Android app remains without a hard deadline, listed only as coming soon after the iOS app. And lastly, another delay. Windows 10 native notifications in Microsoft Teams, a feature released to macOS devices in late 2020. Previously scheduled to start rolling out in mid-December, it will now start rolling out later this month. With this update, users will be able to choose their preferred means of Teams notifications delivery, either via the current Teams built-in notification system or via their native OS notification system.
That was the news.
All right, thanks, Sean. For being a holiday, there are actually kind of a lot of updates. So what's one of the big takeaways for you this week?
Less any one specific item. I think that the thing that I took away from just doing my general research, I take a look at, known leakers, people who have their ear to the ground, and of course just typical Microsoft roadmap. One of the things that I noticed is that there seems to have been a lot of self-organizing behind the scenes to, focus on the little things. There were 243 changes to the roadmap just in the last 7 days, which is insane.
That's a lot.
Especially when you consider the amount of people that are still on break. This is not somebody who's just doing some spring cleaning. This is a concerted effort to get all your ducks in a row before the year really kicks off. So I'm prepared to call this. I think that 2021 is going to be the year of small stuff. Microsoft is really going to focus on polishing up the Microsoft 365 experience, adding features that were either missing or not fully implemented. They spent between March and now, this COVID explosion of fully distributed work and rapid adoption, really just kind of pumping stuff out. They were trying to meet Zoom where they were in terms of features and functionality. They were trying to meet all these different requests that they needed internally. And now I think that the holidays have provided an opportunity for them to catch their breath, take stock of what's around them, and really kind of reprioritize what needs to be fixed before we can start pushing things forward to the same degree.
Yeah, I think 2020 was a bit of a fail fast and let's just get it out there. And this is now a bit of a cleanup and let's polish the final product and make sure things are working and are up to snuff. With that being said, there are a lot of features and big picture things coming out there, but I think this is a good opportunity for everybody to have caught their breath over the last few weeks and say, all right, it's a new year, things are looking up, let's recover a little bit, and let's, we might have left, some things behind as we were speeding down the road with the moving truck back door open. Let's go grab those things and make sure that we have them. So I think you're right on that one, definitely.
What was something that caught your attention?
So I'm really excited about. Teams is always my thing. So I guess I'm a bit biased here, but the Teams meeting recap is something that was announced by Microsoft. I'm pretty sure at Ignite, but also being a bit of an information management guy, I really like when things are centralized. And that meeting recap, if you've never seen it before, it is basically a central listing of all the stuff related to the meeting that you just attended. So it will have a list of the recording, the transcript, the files associated with that meeting or that were shared with that meeting, the list of attendees, all the settings that go along with it. I really think that's going to be a major win. It's going to be easily findable just by going to the chat. Oh, the chat will be there as well. But if you go to the chat in the Teams for the meeting, that's going to bring up that Teams meeting recap. So just bringing all that stuff together, because right now the stuff is kind of just strewn all around, and it'll show you what you're supposed to see based on your role. So like if you're the organizer, you can see the transcript. If you're not, you can't. If the recording is able to be shared with everybody in the meeting, you'll see that. If you don't have access to that, you just won't see it. And it's not like it'll be an empty blank space. It just looks like nothing belongs there anyway. So I'm actually really excited about that, because even if you don't work in the organization, you're just an outside person, if you go, you can still see that content. And I think that's going to be a real big win for just central organization of stuff after a meeting. I think it's hard enough as it is trying to do all these online meetings, or just doing a good meeting in general. Like, good meeting practices are tool independent, right? So if you can kind of do a little bit of the grunt work in the background automatically using the tool, then so be it. I think that's a really great upgrade. So I've been looking forward to that since they announced that. I'm really glad that we're seeing some real dates applied to that, because I've been waiting for it for a few months now.
Yeah.
What's another one you've been looking at?
I think the thing that really caught my attention that I wanted more information on, but obviously for obvious reasons there wasn't a lot out there, was the One Outlook app that leaked this past week. Like,
ooh.
I'm very much a tech news guy. Like, that's my daily digest when I wake up.
Are we even allowed to talk about this? Is somebody going to break into my apartment and
There's a really good chance
shut me up
that your MVP status is immediately put in jeopardy just having this conversation.
Don't say that. Get out of here. Continue. I don't know anything about this stuff.
I'm really excited to see those kinds of peeks behind the curtain. I think that some people expect these leaks to be indicators of products that are imminently about to be released, but very rarely do we see leaks that are so far away from launch, and One Outlook is a really great example of that. For those of you who might have missed it during the news, One Outlook was an app that was leaked that seems to indicate that Microsoft is working on a desktop application to replace the native Windows 10 Mail app, the native Windows 10 Calendar app, and the native Windows 10 Desktop Outlook application, and the Mac desktop application for Outlook. It's going to replace all of them and be just this one-stop shop for Outlook on your computer. Now, Matt, you and I actually already knew this was coming. We didn't know it was going to be called Outlook One, or One Outlook.
No, it's just called Outlook for Mac. I mean, like, that's
Because as everybody who has a Mac knows, we see all these features and all these changes and all these development efforts happening weeks, if not months in advance, before they even have marketing.
Yeah, for whatever reason, we don't know why, but we keep getting all these features early. They all come to this Outlook got a total revamp only a few months ago on Mac, and there's no way they're going to do that again just for this Outlook One thing. So they must be including that under the umbrella. We got Teams native notifications months early. We just said how. Sean just said how Teams notifications in Windows are going to be delayed. I don't know what it is, but Mac OS is the darling child or the testing zone, or I don't know what it is for Microsoft Office applications these days. But yeah,
that's most favored nation. I think it's clear that they're moving forward with this consolidation towards the web experience. Their investments in the web space are only going to continue. I don't see a universe in which they stop producing desktop applications, but I do see a universe in which they're building something, akin to what Teams essentially is, which is just kind of a wrapper around the web experience with native integration so that you can do offline work, things to that effect. So I think that's where we're going to see this One Outlook end up.
It's kind of surprising, though, that I think you said the due date for this isn't until next year, presumably.
This is definitely so. Obviously, Microsoft isn't saying anything. They never address the leaks. Sometimes, although the Xbox Twitter account does seem to address their own leaks, which is great. But from some reporting that's been done, it does seem that this is super early in development. That we're definitely not going to be seeing anything formally launched. You'll probably see some indications of it launched, but nothing formally launched until 2022 at the earliest.
All right. So keep your ear to the ground about Project Monarch and One Outlook. And so that's a good list for the first week of the new year. You'd think there would be a whole lot to talk about, but man, there already was. But that brings us on to community content for the week. Actually, not much has changed in the list here when it comes to events coming up, but I'll give you the listing of what's the big ticket items over the next couple of months. First up on January 22nd is the M365 Friday California. January 28th, Collab Days Birmingham. February 27th is the Scottish Summit. March 2nd, Microsoft Ignite, which is sort of part 2 from what happened in late last year. May 24th, SharePoint Fest Dallas. All the previous ones were online only. This is the first one now that will be in person. And then for those of you that missed the last episode that we covered, community events coming up, the M365 Collaboration Conference, which is the rebranded name of the SharePoint Conference, is actually hedging as well on the whole vaccine thing. They announced new dates for the M365 conference, which was supposed to be last May, I think it was, of 2020 in Las Vegas. They're now pushing for June in Orlando, specifically Disney World, and December in Las Vegas. So a lot of good things coming up potentially. Keep an eye out for more events and check out the link below for the full list of events that are going to be coming up. And that brings me to the community member of the week. This one has become a huge name just in the last year and a half, 2 years or so. You probably see his face pop up all over, and if you don't, you will now that you've heard of him. One of those things where I've never heard of something and then it's always everywhere after you do. His name is Chris Horde. He's out of the UK, and he is an absolute Teams uber guru. I don't know how the man has the time to do what he does, but he co-runs Teams Nation, which is an online user group in Europe, but kind of pushing out beyond that. Used to be known as the Teams European User Group. He is just a whiz at Teams administration, Teams user level stuff, Office 365 level stuff. Now he's putting out sessions on how to pass the exams for Azure, for M365, for Teams. Amazing amount of content that he's putting out there. Really great guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, I think definitely once at least, maybe twice now. And follow him. He's definitely worth it. And he just posted the other day that he's got, a whole tour of all these events that he's going to be speaking at over the next few months. So if you want to check out some of his content, if you don't want to check out his blog and you want to see him live, absolutely check out that information. I'll leave the links in the description so you can check that out yourself. And that really kind of wraps it up for us, Sean. Anything else you wanted to chat about before we finish up?
Oh, yeah, I think that I'm optimistic for what 2021 can be. I think that we've seen that obviously we didn't leave 2020 behind, particularly here in the US. But I'm optimistic that 2021 has a lot of really great things just waiting in the wings. And so I'm gonna continue holding on for those. I'm gonna continue to look towards what good a year can be, and try to as best as I can let 2020 truly be hindsight. Furthermore is Miss America.
No, that was well stated. I don't have anything positive to add to that or productive to add to that other than a sarcastic gesture, I guess. But that's well stated. And I think we have a lot to look forward to this year. And hopefully as things get a little bit more back to normal, we'll be able to actually take part in some of these community events in person sometime soon, which I think is something that a lot of us have been really itching for over the last 9 or so months.
Speaking of itching, I'm really looking forward to seeing that beard in person.
This is coming off very soon. I finally got the manuscript in last week, and I never actually decided whether or not it's the manuscript that was my threshold for cutting the beard off and like, oh yeah, I got the book in, or if it's going through all the edits that come afterwards. So at this point, I'm erring on the side of leave it until I figure out what is the threshold for cutting it off. Is it the book gets published? Is it the edits are all in? Is it, I don't know yet. We're going to find out.
Say it one more time. What's the book?
I don't know if you'll have the opportunity to do anything with it. It's supposed to be early March, hopefully.
What's the title of the book, and are we going to drop a link for people to pre-order in the show notes?
The book is called Teach Yourself Visually Microsoft Teams, and it is a field guide, basically a basic user guide, but into the nuts and bolts, best user practices, that kind of thing, for Microsoft Teams. More on the commercial side, but definitely applicable to government, education, that kind of thing. But I look at it as kind of you have a book on your desk, your one Bible of resources that you pick up and you open, and how do I do X? This is how you. This is the book for you. So the link is always in the description. Actually, I've been secretly advertising it underneath my Connect with Matt section. If anybody ever wants to expand that section, guerrilla marketing there. But yeah, it should be out in the next. I don't know. Hopefully within 2 months or so from now.
Hey, well, best of luck. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you all very much for watching. As always, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Definitely leave a link in or a comment in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear what you're thinking, especially what are your hopes, dreams, expectations for this year, whether they're positive, negative, cynical, progressive, who knows what's going on in your mind. But this is some cool stuff coming at us, so definitely something to look forward to. So, Sean, we will see you next week, and everybody have a great week.
Sounds good. Happy New Year. What's everybody?
That is a great start to the new year.
All right.
This is how we start a new year, everybody. This is how we kill 2020.